Yeah, it's tough, but I can act jealous every once in a while. So
For her benefit.
You're so insecure.
we're not in the right
Oh,
in the right
Pop culture
state.
minefield.
Yeah.
Fucking Martin.
TGIF.
We grew up on television. The tube was our babysitter, guidance through the tube, moral sent by transmitter. This is where you go to get down to the know about great TV shows all on one show. It's time for some TGIF right here on Pop Culture Minefield. Thank God it's Friday on Pop Culture Minefield. Thank God it's Friday on Pop Culture Minefield. Thank God it's Friday on Pop Culture Minefield.
Fucking Martin is as useful as fucking Peg Bundy today. Got us in the wrong
do
fucking
now?
studio, Brainiac.
No, we weren't.
Yes, we were. You had us in the main room. And I
No,
go to fucking start the show and I can't start the show. Because
Well,
you got
what
us
can
in
I
the
say?
wrong fucking studio.
On my end, it said this what we were on.
It's incorrect.
I have the button.
Nice.
You have the button. All right. All right. So it's Friday. It's TGIF. And yeah, in many ways, thank God it is Friday. Keith is here with us. Woo.
happy to be here.
So if you didn't hear, Keith, Martin has requested a movie for his birthday.
Oh, okay.
I'm not friends with him anymore. Just saying.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
What was it? Megaforce?
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, okay.
No. I'll tell you in a second. I'm uploading the graphic right now so you can see it for yourself.
Okay.
But he threw this out there, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm kidding." And I'm like, "No, you've already asked for it, so yeah, I've got to do that because I know you really want it." But you all hate the movie, and I'm like, "Look, I've seen the movie a lot. I know a lot about the film. I know a lot of trivia around it. So here you go. We're gonna do this movie."
Stupid.
And I even put on there, "Love it or hate it, we're doing this."
Now,
When
And both
when
our
is
faces on there, Keith. We're doomed. We have to be there now.
January
Well,
3rd.
when is the due?
January 3rd.
January 3rd? Oh, I'm so busy that day.
Yeah.
I gotta wash my hair. I have to wash my
I gotta
hair.
go do Jewish stuff.
I gotta go do black guy stuff.
Yeah, black guy stuff, Jewish stuff. Make up some cultural thing, and then nobody knows how to question that.
When we started doing the schedule for this year, last year, my buddy and I, Oh My Feelings, we kind of set off to. I told him, look, what we're gonna do is your birthday month, I'm gonna pick movies for you, and my birthday month, you're gonna pick movies for me. And no takesies, backsies. I chose not horrible films for me, and he chose one out of the 4 or 5. We just couldn't do it to each other. But yeah, this year I've got some bangers for him.
Cool.
Yeah,
You're muted, Gary.
you're muted, Gary.
Sorry.
I had no idea. Why
I
am
said,
I so
really?
muted?
I had no idea. Hey, look,
Yeah,
I'm
you can
Hooper
tell.
from Jaws. I'm Hooper from Jaws today. I wish I could do a Dreyfus impersonation.
Try
Best.
do a Clint Eastwood Heartbreak Ridge impersonation.
Well, I mean, it's like, this is the AK-47, the preferred weapon of your enemy. It makes a very distinct sound. Learn it well.
Man, I to be fair, just before like 20 minutes before I sat down and got the link from Martin, I heard a lot of popping noises from afar, and I was like, really? This
Oh, no.
close? And it's like it sounded the way you think it sounded.
Mm.
And it
Weapons
kept
fire
going.
has a very distinct sound.
It kept going. And by the way, I heard no popping sounds from like ever, just rockets and shit. But then it kept going and it sounded like it's getting closer, which is weird. And then I heard the distinct somebody it's a lot of motorcycles just popping their motors by like high revving up and stuff. Sounds the same, I guess, from afar.
Oh, backfiring from the okay. From a distance, yeah, they could. Because the report of a faraway gunfire and the sound of engines backfiring, motorcycles in particular.
Specifically from like either lowriders or custom or whatever. It couldn't be
Do you
from
have
your
lowriders in Israel?
Yeah. There's like not really gangs, but there are riding clubs like style, angels. But
Yeah.
they're like what's that movie with John Travolta, Martin Lawrence?
Oh, yeah. Mm.
So they're kind of
Oh,
faking the
Hogs,
funk.
I think.
It's a really
What
bad
was it?
movie.
I laughed at that movie
Hogs?
though.
It's a stupid movie, right? William H. Macy, I think.
Yep.
It's stupid,
Anyway.
but it's fun.
So it's like they're faking the funk, but they're like halfway. I can't really explain. They're halfway through. They have like probies and like you need to get like stripes on your jacket and all that stuff. They're really serious, but it's sort of pretend. But they're taking it like seriously.
Yeah. Wicked Warriors.
But you can get really decent lowriders like or like custom made stuff over here. It's very expensive. The issue is we have a massive import tax on any vehicle. It's sort of something that was left behind when the British left, because I know that the British have the same type of tax on any vehicle that comes in. So they pay through the roof. We're the same. It's about 100%. About it's insane.
Wow. So you pay double.
So cars are like double what you would get them in the US.
Crazy.
Like for an imported car, you probably pay some sort of a tariff on them, but our tariffs are insane for no reason.
That's crazy, dude. What is up with that?
It's a really good way for the government to fund stuff without saying, oh, it's an income tax or it's a tax. But like cars are 107%. Certain types of alcohol are 140, 127. Like 127% tax for alcohol. It's abysmal.
That is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if fancy stuff from abroad, if you want to flex, you have to pay.
It's not like not on beer. It's on like liquor.
Yeah.
So above a certain proof, it immediately ups the tax. So a $40 bottle of whiskey, which is, I don't know, good, bad, I don't know. A $50 bottle of whiskey would cost you about $85, $95, $105 easy if you do the conversion. It's dumb.
Crazy. So, how many people are here right now?
According
Shows
to
we got
StreamYard,
19 watching.
19.
Yeah. And we got Penny and Read by Nature here. So, hi guys. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. So what is this? What did you say here? Just to clarify, it's not that I want to review it. I do like the movie, mind you. What I wanted was to make them all review it because they loathe it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again because I only watched it once. I'm not even
But
sure.
no,
You said-
no, seriously.
So-
If we're gonna do that because of the date, I will prefer, of course, my favorite movie of all time, Gone with the Wind.
For a moment
It's
a
there,
long
I thought
movie.
you would say Avatar.
What? Wrong movie? Did you say, kid?
No, long. Long. That is
Oh.
a long movie.
Yes, it's a long ass movie.
I like the movie. And I was.
Yeah, we already got
fortunate enough-
ET, so
Yeah, because we have never changed a show.
Huh?
You got
with
the
it now.
touch. You got the
So-
power.
well, I'm glad Mephisto's here. It's good to see you, buddy.
Hi.
Man, oh
Was,
man.
My lesson on Israeli tax code.
Yes.
I
Uh,
will always find ways to derail the show with outlandish shit.
Well, you're in the
Um,
right place if you like to do that.
Oh yeah, I
It
know.
is also time, for us to consider doing for July 4th. We will do Jaws for
Again,
2025.
we already did it.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's
I remember watching it with you. I don't remember doing a show about it.
yeah, we did it. I did a slideshow, and then you schooled me how to do a slideshow. It was on my first days doing
Ah.
slideshow.
Well, we need to do it again if we did do it.
Oh, we can
You-
either do that or we can
You
do
will
that.
hear not
The
objection.
hidden.
Oh, we did it with Tom. Okay. Yeah, we need to do it as a regular show.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it.
Well, since it is a horror movie, we should do it with Greg and Nadia, and not talk about the movie at all.
Oh, geez.
You know what?
That's how
Again,
the
she
shows
pointed
go.
out we spoke for an hour on the movie
Yes.
last night.
We did our best.
We did an hour of film discussion with mixed in moments of another hour of just talking about shit.
Well, I hope you're not doing it on that show because I want to be there. And I
We're
cannot
not.
be on that show. It's too late.
They know that. That's why
Oh,
Nadia
you-
said a bunch of shit about you last night because she knew you wouldn't hear it.
Oh, jeez.
She didn't anymore. She didn't.
I know she would.
You need to wear that hat for the Joe show, so you will
We-
be our Hooper.
We met, Nadia and I. She was on our panel for like half an hour. She jumped in for, I forgot which show it was. I know she would do that.
I agree with you, Reed. It's such a long movie. We would have to make the slideshow extra long, so we'll have to do an intermission.
So basically, what we're going to start doing movies that need intermissions, like Cleopatra, or like
This last Martin Scorsese film that didn't have one but should have had one.
or even Napoleon. That's a long movie.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
Napoleon's such a. I sat there and just watched, and I couldn't believe it was made. It was so stupid. The movie was really stupid. It looked gorgeous.
Mhm.
It looked amazing, but it's so stupid. And I left and I thought, well, fuck. I guess Tom Connors was right again. Ridley Scott is a terrible fucking filmmaker.
Well,
he really
it depends.
has.
I really do believe it. It depends on whether or not he's actually writing the material or participating in the writing of the
Well,
material.
that's the problem. Is he's gotten to that point, Keith, where he sits in on the creative process and he ruins anything he's working on.
Yeah.
But he made one of the best Napoleonic films ever made, which was The
Mhm.
Duelists,
Yep.
1977. Great fucking movie.
Great movie.
But the best Napoleon film, from my experience, is Waterloo, which came out in 69 or 70 with Rod
Mhm.
Steiger as Napoleon. And it's a bit, I don't know, it's longer than it needed to be, but they tried to show you something of the historic aspects of what happened. And so I thought it was a very good film in that department historically. And it shows the battles. I couldn't believe how many people they got on that fucking battlefield, because there were thousands in the real battle, and it looked like they had about 1,000 people working on that film. But Napoleon, of course, being French, and speaking of French, we're talking about Léon, Le Professionnel, who is, and I got to tell you, I preferred The Professional, the original American theatrical release. And when he released the international cut, they left some stuff in here that I wish they had left out because it's creepy. And we watched a making of video where you see some of the fucking Frenchmen. There's a reason I don't like French people. There really is. I just find them repulsive on so many levels. We are progressive. We do not think, and they like to talk shit about Americans. And, the Americans did not like the French version of The Professional because of the relationship of the young woman to an adult man who had a mind of a 15-year-old man. He was only 15. No, he was a grown ass.
They didn't talk shit about Americans. They just stated that they didn't like it.
Oh, the fuck
no
they
one was
didn't.
Talking shit. Come on.
The
don't be a
fuck
pussy.
they didn't. I said that because they did. I caught it when they did it. And it was when she was criticizing how Americans don't like that sort of thing. But, and then she says, but we here in France are more progressive. And it's like, oh, fuck off. Yes, they absolutely did take a shot at Americans in that fucking video.
It's a good thing. It's a good
why I
thing.
don't
I
like the
don't
French.
watch. It's a good thing I don't watch those sort of things, and I don't really care unless I do a research on a movie. I don't know which version I saw. I probably saw the original French version
We couldn't
when I
find
saw
it
this for
original
the very
French
first
version
time.
Really
haven't
went
seen-
into her wanting to have sex with him.
I don't remember. It's been so long because I've actually seen this in the theater when it came out, and it was not a normal theater. It was one of those theaters where it was sort of an art house theater. So it was a small place. It had, I think, 3 halls, so 3 screens. A very small venue, I want to say about 80 seats, sort of. So if you were
That is a
sitting,
small
if you
venue.
were unfortunate and had the first row was like, you would think about, let's say, 5th or 6th row. So it was a little bit back because they had some room. And I think I watched it either on a very big discount or for free because I have just moved in with my mom to Tel Aviv. We were living in Tel Aviv at the time, and the upstairs neighbor was my age, and my mom kind of connected with his mom, and his mom was this TV director that did a show on TV. I don't remember what it was, but she was a really respectable director that like a TV director. So he had access to a lot of stuff. One of those things is getting tickets to art house films. And I saw a bunch of films that were not for our age, but his mom was this hippy dippy mom that like we saw a lot of movies that we were not supposed. Like he was the guy who took me to see a screening of Pulp Fiction, but not when Pulp Fiction came out, like a year later or a year and a half later, when I couldn't technically buy a ticket to see Pulp Fiction. So with him, I saw so many like indie movies or like art house movies that it's like, oh, come and watch this movie with me. My mom says it's really good. Blah, 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 blah. It's really important. So it's a really important piece of like, okay, great. So I saw Leon at The Professional as Leon.
Mhm.
That was the name. I didn't know it was The Professional until I was like 30.
Yeah. Well, when it first got released here, it was just called The Professional.
Yeah.
I remember it was around 2000 because I moved down to Georgia to work for iFleet, and I went to one of their big, massive video entertainment stores where they sell toys, music, movies, everything. And they had just gotten it in, Leon the Professional. And I got it, and I wasn't so much bothered at first by the additional scene they put back in. It was the one scene in particular that they, thank God, took out that's just so garbage, which is her wanting to kiss him at a restaurant, crawling over the table at him. It's just creepy. It's skeevy.
Wow. I'm glad I didn't see that version then. Because, I mean, I really do like this film, but basically I didn't see whatever version that was. I mean, I came into this because I was a very big fan of La Femme Nikita. So when Leon got released, when The Professional got released, I was all hyped for the movie, you know. But it did get kind of weird for me, you know. I'm just I just think that I am a big fan of Luc Besson's way of doing things when he's actually
Action
making
films,
the movie.
whether they're action comedies or action thrillers.
Yeah,
he does a very good job.
He changed action filmmaking up until La Femme Nikita came out. You know, he changed action filmmaking in so much as that he had a very creative way of filming action scenes, and especially action films with, I should say, female leads, but also at a time when everybody was really getting into a lot of the other action films that were coming out. Being able to do something kind of original like La Femme Nikita was a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of other action films that have been released up to that point. So the Professional, you know, was something that I had really looked forward to because I was hoping he would continue to push everything forward, you know.
Well, Leon is very much associated to La Femme Nikita as well, because Jean Reno plays a very similar character, which in fact they joked was basically like his brother or his cousin or some shit.
Yeah.
The cleaner that he plays in La Femme Nikita. But La Femme Nikita also had some other things that went for it, and I paused the video so because I do want to talk about this movie. What they did with La Femme Nikita is they took a character who is a shithole. She's a piece of crap, garbage. And they put her through a process where when she comes out the other side, she's a completely different person. And by doing what she's doing, you take a character that you kind of felt deserved to die, and suddenly you're rooting for her.
Yeah.
And I think that was really very well done. And with Leon, what you have is a guy who's a fucking killer, but he has the mind of a kid. He's got the mind of a 13 to 15-year-old kid. Doesn't mean he's a fucking child, which is my problem with what Luc Besson tried to do with the French version of the film. He's not a child. He's still a grown-ass man.
Yep.
But he's a killer. Nonetheless, he's still a murderer. And it's through his relationship with Matilda that he becomes a better character. And it's the paternal side of him that makes him care about somebody. Because all he's ever cared about is basically himself, the guy that handles his money, and his plant. That's his life. Everything else is just a job.
I heard a guy talk about the relationship between Leon and the plant, and what he said was the plant, because it's alive, is Leon's tether to reality until the moment he decides to let Matilda walk through the door, and then he's got another tether to reality, and it kind of the plant grounds him, and Matilda shows him what else is there besides just the ground. And I was like, that's a really deep way of thinking about a movie about a murder for hire guy that just has no faith in humanity whatsoever. And then finally this little girl comes in, and he is reluctant to pull his head out of his ass and realize, oh, these people I'm killing, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but there's a lot more to the people I'm killing. There's a whole other world, and he's pulled into this reality, but then he does this sacrifice move because he believes in he finally has something to believe in, but it with a big cost.
Well, also, I think it also introduces him to a certain range of emotions that he was kind of shut off from. You know, Matilda coming into his life introduces him to, as you said before, some of these people are good, some of these people are bad. The longer he stays around her, the more she kind of treats him as this, not quite a father figure, but someone who is kind of a protector or whatever. I think it causes him to suddenly, there's a certain level of you realize that Leon has no sense really of personal guilt about anything that he's done up until Matilda comes into his life. And I believe that begins to grow within him. And so it makes it easier for him to do what he does in the third act, because he begins to take some sort of, it begins to change how he sees his reality up to that point. You know, prior to meeting her, his reality is almost kind of like borderline what they were trying to do in the movie The Accountant.
Yeah, which by the way, we're getting a sequel to. I have to play a video, dude. I got to play a video.
Yeah.
The fuck up, Kyle.
Hey, Zach.
And that's to his little post there that in Canada it was released as The Professional, Pay No Attention to the Age Gap. Now I'll put us back into our other stage. There we go. All right.
Luc Besson does have some good films that I really did enjoy. The Family is a good one.
It was okay.
I personally liked Angel A. I thought Angel A was Angela really is technically, but Angel A is what I call it. I really like that film. He does have a certain style. But after a while, I think it becomes, depending on the material, it can get a little grating, you know. But having grown up, you know, come of age in the 80s and seeing what we were producing as far as action films, this was just a breath of fresh air. The same way that in many ways, John Wick helped to change a few things, even though John Wick just helped to revive a lot of the styles and stuff that you would see out of films like this one. Just done on a budget and on a level that made a lot more sense and had a lot more to do with the reality of making movies rather than studio films. There's no way John Wick would be what it was had it been a big studio movie.
No.
And anyway, that's my whole thing about action films. I do love action films. And I really love the smaller action films that don't require $150 million to make. There is absolutely no reason why you should be outrageous in your spending. You know?
Well, you and I did a show a while back talking about that, keeping budgets under, I personally said 50 million.
At least.
You know, if you want to make your money back, you have to shoot low.
It's
And
been proven again and again that the less money they had, the more creative they got. So you end up with
and
better
I did
movies
the
with
math
less money.
based on, you know, inflation, devaluation of the dollar, blah, 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 that a film that could have been shot for 25 million in the 80s could still be right around 50 million today.
Yeah.
And they're shooting them for 100, 75 to 100. It's like
That
you're
is
tacking on
outrageous.
an additional 25 to 50 million dollars to your budget for no reason. And all it does is make it harder for you to make your money back. This is one of Anima's favorite moments when the knife comes out of the darkness under
Oh,
his
that's
throat.
so good. That is so good.
He's like panty, and that knife comes out, and he goes, and he just stops breathing.
I just had a check just for fun, okay? So RoboCop is what, 87. The budget was $13.7 million, and they were over budget. So the original budget was, I think, 10 or 11. And well, Verhoeven is Verhoeven, so he just pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And they had some issues, costume wise, all that stuff. But they had to scrape and ask for more. And they also had like a technicality where somebody didn't sign off on the budget at the offices, so they could increase it because somebody didn't sign off for the full budget.
Yeah,
a little detail, but yeah, 13.7 million.
Yeah,
the
and
initial budget for Blade Runner in '82 was 18 million.
yeah,
but
By the time it was finished, it had gone way over budget, and which is why Ridley Scott got fired like twice. It went to, I think it's listed as around 27-28 million dollars. It's still considered low budget science fiction for the time.
yeah, but look, 13 million. If you just double that,
It's
that's
impossible to make a
26.
good film like that.
Let's say a cool 30 million for RoboCop. It ain't bad. It ain't bad. If you replace the animatron, like the puppeteering with like CGI, you can still make a decent movie.
I think if you compare the budget for the remake of RoboCop versus the original, I mean,
I'll check.
I didn't mind the remake, but again, to me, as someone that has enjoyed watching action movies, you really do have to justify spending outrageous amounts of money. They didn't make the Bond films with Sean Connery for very much money. You know, Dr. No was not shot for $50 million. It was shot for way less. That budget was small. Now, for the time, probably expensive.
You know how they funded, like, from a certain point, they had a lot of funding not coming from the industry itself. It's like outside sources. As soon as they figured out that what Bond sells is cars, specifically high-end cars and watches,
Yes.
those companies, those companies actually funded a lot of these movies, and that's why it got like it was serialized that much because they just had the funding to make it.
Yeah.
So there was a moment where every couple of years you had a Bond movie coming out for the summer. I think it was meant for the summer as well. I need to check, but yeah, I had a look. RoboCop 2014 had an estimated between 100 and 130 million. It's still not set. So, and that's exactly 30 years after. It's a bit crazy. Yeah.
A bit. I mean, the budget for Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 2, that was $11 million.
Yeah, and there's a story that goes along with it because the guy who opted to make those movies said that the motion pictures cost like 40 million, and he came to Paramount and he said, "Well, 40 million, I can make 3 movies for that budget." And by the way, he did.
Yeah. No. He did a good job in keeping the budget low, but he was also not a very good person to work with when it came to his relationship with Leonard Nimoy, and that kind of poisoned some of that, especially later on. But it's just again, it's hard. It is hard to make a movie, and it's really hard to make a good movie. And when you start out by just getting outrageous with the amount of money that you're spending, again, Gary and I have talked about this before. There is a reason why the John Wick films
The person he's talking about is Harv Bennett.
Yeah,
Harv Bennett. That's it. Forgot his name.
He was an asshole.
I just think that when you look at the total cost, the budgets for all 4 John Wick films, and you end up spending collectively less or about as much as it took for Disney to finance The Acolyte. I mean, I know some people go, "Wow, John Wick 5, I don't know if I want to see that." I would rather see a John Wick 5 because the people that make those know what they're doing than a lot of other film sequels. I mean, it just, again, outrageousness. And then they, all the studios want to do is blame the fans when it doesn't go very well. Okay, I'm done. Because I'm about to go off on a major rant and I shouldn't. So
We love your rants, though.
I just there are ways that you can do a studio movie with let's say a relatively limited budget. Just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
Bad Boys 2 back then was made for 130 million.
Ooh.
That was 2003.
Yeah.
Okay. Last year they made Bad Boys 4 for just 100 million. And I watched both of them. The fourth one is way better, story-wise, action-wise, all that stuff. Better shot even than number 2 for less of a budget. And it was much more of a compelling story as well. So,
well, but
it really takes a good filmmaker to make a good movie. And yeah, you said it, Keith. It's a hard thing to do.
Well, the other thing though about the fourth movie is Michael Bay wasn't making it.
Exactly.
I mean, I hate to dunk on Michael Bay, but I mean, again, the guy is talented. He's made a lot of movies that people have enjoyed, and it's not that I hate the guy or anything. It's just that part of what you have to accept in being a Michael Bay fan is just the sheer outrageousness sometimes of some of the money that he spends. Now, that said, I'm not gonna, I'm going to say that the money that they spent for the first Transformers movie, that makes sense. It's new technology. You were trying something new. You were bringing something to life in live action that had only been animated. And I totally get that. But the violence porn after a while, it just gets to a point where it numbs you. And when you watch, again, I keep saying this, but it's that good. When you watch any of the John Wick films, it's not about numbing you to the violence. It should never be like that. And in that way, The Professional is also a good movie that way. It's not nowadays. If they were to make this movie now, they would try to outdo John Wick. You would have multiple
They
scenes.
couldn't make this movie today, Keith.
Well, I mean, you would alter certain things, but I mean, as far as making an action film of any type, they would try to outdo John Wick. And the amount of violence that you see in the third act would have been something that they would have done throughout the entire film, rather than just, that's the other thing about this movie. It builds, not just emotionally and character-wise, but in the action that you have. And I guarantee you, they didn't spend that much on this movie, comparatively speaking. But it makes sense because it's a character piece in every single way. Everything built.
They did travel to Paris, though. That can't have been cheap.
Well, true. That could not have been cheap, but I guarantee you it still is not as expensive as it would be if they were trying to shoot this today. It would be outrageousness almost in every frame. And
you couldn't have a 12-year-old girl play a role like that.
No. She wouldn't be in the movie. They would probably not even have her character. But what you would have with Leon would be, at the beginning of the movie, instead of doing a scene where he's able to threaten somebody, pulling the knife, they would just do a whole scene and have him kill a bunch of people. I mean, it would just be outrageousness almost for the entire film. They would try to keep it up throughout the entire movie. And that's kind of outrageous in that sense. I
think 11 Alpha is right. Taken was essentially a French action film.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, again, it was written by Luc Besson, so
yeah.
Gary Oldman steals the show in this. He would do a scene a certain way, and then in order to play around and maybe even mess with Luc Besson directing, he would go over the top suddenly. And those were the ones that he would end up using, were the ones where he would just have fun and to mess with the director. The whole piano bit on the fireplace. Yeah. The everyone, that was like just done one time. Bingo.
Oh. Yeah, with the everyone.
Each one was the take that he did.
They did the scene a couple of times, and then Luc Besson had no idea what was coming. Gary Oldman just motioned to the sound guy, take your headset off. And then he just overdid it completely to crack him up. And Luc Besson loved it. So they kept that one in the movie. That was just Oldman fooling around.
Because he was understanding his character is crazy, but he's also high as fuck right now.
Oh, yeah. He's high constantly. You see, he has so many pills.
And to think 11 years later, he's Commissioner Gordon in Batman Begins. It's Gary Oldman is just amazing.
You can say that Gary Oldman's best work is Dracula. You can say even that his True Romance kind of cameo role was good or the best. I think this one is the best performance that he ever did. And I include everything. Dark Hour. I include Fifth Element.
Romeo Must Die.
Romeo is bleeding. Include everything.
Sorry, Romeo is bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to bring up some early stuff. You got, because I brought this up to Anima the other day. The film that made me a fan of him was Prick Up Your Ears, followed immediately by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I became a Gary Oldman, Tim Roth fan because of that movie. But I love Prick Up Your Ears, which is a very good biopic. Dark as shit, because it's about a murder self-deletion, and of a famous playwright. This is a crazy scene right here.
Yeah.
He gets angry because he damaged his jacket. Look what he did to my jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, and for that scene, Luc Besson was fucking around with him because Oldman was very careful about handling that gun, checking that it was empty, so it would just click.
Doing what Alec Baldwin wouldn't do, checking the
Yeah,
weapon.
that's what
Zing.
Baldwin. But they had a gun on the set, and they fired it while he was doing shots. So he thought it was him, and he completely freaked out. And the guy playing Matilda's dad, he hadn't heard cut yet, so he stayed on the floor playing dead.
Not
That
moving.
freaked Oldman out so much. And when Besson was finally done having fun and said cut, he turned around and said, "Dude, I'm fine. What's wrong?"
I don't know which sound bite I need to do. Is it this or this?
No,
sorry.
11 Alpha, let me tell you something. What Luc Besson's problem is he's French. Their progressive way of thinking is fucked. They don't understand respecting childhood. They don't get it. And that's what I feel. It's my opinion. Take it or leave it.
Gary Oldman, and I agree that he's a fantastic actor. I also like to say that, I really, really enjoyed him as Dr. Smith in Lost in Space.
Oh my God, he was so good.
I mean, he was just, he was
His
brilliant.
interactions with the kid that played Will Robinson was so good. The way he played his emotions.
And that's a Goldsman film. That's the same guy that is now ruining Star Trek. That was one of the people behind that movie.
Akiva Goldsman. I do want to point something out here. I paused it for a reason. As with M. Night Shyamalan in his little ghost movie, The Sixth Sense, every time you see red, something scary was going to happen. In this film, Matilda, anytime she gets milk, something bad happens.
Yep.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, every time she goes out to buy milk,
something bad happens.
The year this film came out, I think he also had Gary Oldman also had Immortal Beloved.
Oh, that was a good film, but not great. That was a stumbling block for him because I think he was in the wrong hands. He was in the wrong hands for a director. That was what made that movie suck. If with a better director, that film would have been so much better with Gary Oldman in it. But I want to go back to Dracula because you brought that one up. I consider that his second best film after this one.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that his performance in that was just so stupendous. His use of the accent, transitioning from horrifying to romantic in the film was really incredible the way he pulled that off. And he did something that made the filmmakers realize, oh, we fucked up. We made the villain the good guy. Everybody's rooting for Dracula at the end of the fucking movie. Mm-hmm. So they ended up because the ending didn't work. And so they had to go back and redo the ending because they knew they screwed up and they made Dracula the hero of the film. Instead of Van Helsing and John, I forgot his name. Keanu's character.
Well,
Jonathan.
I liked
Harker.
Oh, his first Jonathan.
I paused for a reason, guys.
You pause what?
I paused for a reason because this is the scene where she's crying. going to his apartment.
Yeah,
And
we
she
have
was-
to. We have
she
to
was
actually
12
talk
years
about this
old.
movie at
Yeah.
some
Please.
point.
She was
Um,
12. It was her first performance, and she couldn't cry on cue. So they sprayed peppermint oil in her eyes. And I came across an interview where she mentions that, and she said she never had problems crying on cue again, just by remembering how painful that was.
Wow.
So that taught her how to
Not,
cry.
not only that, you see how Besson stole from himself. That scene, she on the door crying with that music, is exactly the same thing with Lilo Dallas in the in the passenger cabin of Corbin's taxi, asking him for help. It's the same exact scene.
Okay.
wait a minute. What are we talking about?
In The Fifth Element, when Lilo,
Oh, The Fifth Element. Okay. Yeah, I was like lost for a second what movie we were talking about. Okay. Yeah, it's very similar. Asking for help. But she knows that they're dead, and she knows she's dead if she goes in that apartment. And so she's begging him to save her life. And
And she
I
doesn't
do. I
mind
like
that her
this scene.
family is dead. She's crying because her brother is dead, because he was only 4 years old. He was the only person not dead in her family.
This is only just a few years after he did JFK, which I thought his performance
Oh,
in
when
that
he-
one was also.
Yeah, he played Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who the hell he was. It's so funny. And I'm like, how do you not know who Gary Oldman is? Talking about Dracula? Oh, is that the same guy? Yes.
Well,
We call that acting, kids.
no, he's a very versatile person. He can change completely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My favorite thing with him right now is the espionage series, the British American
Tinker
series.
Tailor, Soldier Spy.
No,
Oh.
I do. I like that one too. Slow Horses on Apple
Ooh.
TV, Apple Plus
Yes.
TV, is a great series.
I already put that down, Tim. You suggested that a couple months ago. It's on the list.
Hmm.
Yep,
Wait,
it's the
what?
second movie on my list.
Oh my God! Shut up, Tim.
That's what happens when you don't give him his video.
Well,
well, everybody is talking. I'm not gonna interrupt people.
By what name are you known? There are some who call me Tim.
In
In the way that Gary interrupts me.
Yeah, I did that on purpose because I thought it'd be funny. Because I don't want to interrupt, and then I interrupted you.
He's such a dick.
I am. That's true.
Oh, now you tell that. But when I don't
Oh,
run it,
shut up,
you
Tim.
give me
Shut
the
up, Tim.
you give me hell when I don't do it.
Yeah, right? Turn into a diva every time you don't get it.
I don't believe you, Tim.
Nah. No one's buying that crap.
Good grief.
oh wow.
I've always
I'm a
wondered when he
cleaner.
says he's a cleaner, and he knows what he means, I think. She knows he's not.
Now,
just
the
cleaning
original term
houses.
for a cleaner wasn't actually a person who killed people. They're the ones that went in to clean up the murder scenes to get rid of
Yeah.
all the evidence.
He's more like a fixer.
Yes.
No, a fixer is a Winston Wolfe kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
He's not
Fixer-
fixing
It's a
anything.
cleaner.
He
No, no,
comes
no.
in when nothing is to be fixed anymore and cleans the situation up.
It's sort of like when they call Mr. Wolf in Pulp Fiction.
Hmm.
That's what he is. He's not an assassin. He's a cleaner. His job is to go clean up a situation or a scene.
Yeah, like the guys that they had in the first John Wick film. They had a
Yeah.
team come in. Yeah.
Who was the same guy from the Warriors? Hey, Warriors.
Yep.
Yes, it
Now
was.
his-
It's
Hey.
also in another one of my favorite sci-fi films that did not age well, Dreamscape. And he also is in Beverly Hills, or not Beverly Hills, that cop at 48 Hours. He's the one he hits with the door, and he goes, "Oh,
Yep.
Luther, that didn't look like that hurt." Hits him with a fucking door. Okay.
There's a problem with that. Tim Anima doesn't like to swear in her native tongue.
I don't swear in German because my mom hated it. So as soon as I knew how to, I only used Croatian curse words and told
English,
her it's not
apparently.
as bad as it. No, she knew English. She knew English. But yeah, no, I only swear in English and in Croatian. Sometimes in French.
I have to look. War Monkey, I can't go down that road with you, my man. I didn't hate it, but I just thought that the
what road? This one?
Yeah, I can't go down that road with you. I didn't hate it, but
I feel the same way, Keith. I didn't like it. It's not like I hated it. I just didn't like either of the
too
Nikita
much
series.
soap opera drama.
Yeah, it's just not interesting to me. The film was good. Point of No Return was not bad.
Yeah.
But I prefer Le Femme Nikita, the original film. I think it's a good movie.
It is.
Have you watched the Bridget Fonda American remake?
Yeah, Point of No Return.
It's
Point of No
terrible.
Return. It's look, I'm going to say that it's not horrible. I don't think it's
not horrible, but
I just think that it's not good. It's,
Well,
the original film is just better.
Yeah.
You're trying to do a shot-for-shot remake, even though
it didn't
you're
work.
You're using different locations. That'll work sometimes, but again, La Femme Nikita just works better. It's just a better film, and
Yeah, as for the TV series, I didn't particularly like it. My wife loves that show.
Which one? Because Peter Redman fan said it's right. There were two.
Yeah, there were two shows.
It's the Peter Wilson one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aussie one. Back in
the
late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I didn't. It's not that I hated either one of those. It's just that it's not the film for me, and that's fine. I really think Peter Wilson and Maggie Q are incredible actresses, and it's not easy starring in a television version of a major influential film. But I just like I like the film. So,
and it was an early film of an American actor that I like. Dermot Mulroney plays her American boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
In the film. I guess one of the best parts of the film is his character. I like that guy. He's a good actor. Oh, I guess Shanatsky's here. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love when she walks up to him and says, he's not really my father. He's my lover.
Oh, that is so messed up.
You fucking little shit.
I like the scene
Proving
before
the
that
point
when
that she's just a fucking child.
when they walk
act
to the
like a
hotel
grown-up.
and Leon is laying out the rules and she says okay like 8 times, and in the end he says, and stop saying okay. And she's like okay, and he's good. That was fun.
That was in The Haunted with the guy who played Connor McLeod. And there's a scene similar within the.
Oh,
Yep,
you said
the
the
Japanese-
Hunted. I thought you said Haunted.
I'm sorry.
So I'm
That's
like,
what
what
time to
movie?
take, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
good
Christopher
thing.
Lambert.
Good thing I have you to explain to the audience what I said.
Yeah, Christopher, or originally he was called Christopher Lambert, and then he decided to be an American actor, and it became Lambert.
Actually, he is American.
Yeah. Indeed, he is. It's the same situation that Mel Gibson. Born there, then move out to the other place, and then came back.
Yeah, because he had to learn to get rid of his accent.
I was
He
so
still kind of has
surprised when we watched Mad Max and to see him that young and to hear him speak with that accent. That was so weird.
It took him a while to get rid of it, because it haunted him all the way up through the second Lethal Weapon, because there's that scene where he's flirting with the South African chick in the store, the grocery store. He's in the produce aisle flirting with her, and you can hear him say something distinctly Australian.
Ha.
And it's like it caught me, and I was like, "Oh my god, yeah!" You can hear his accent there. But yeah,
can't
he was
believe
born in
how-
the U.S. and went to Australia, got a thick ass accent, and he had to learn how to get rid of it.
I can't believe how those actors can get rid of their accents. I don't have that problem.
Yeah,
Well,
clearly
Right.
you don't.
I was with a German guy once, and he moved to Vienna for me, and he didn't sound like he was from Vienna, but his language changed because he started using the Austrian words instead of the German words because he would hear them all the time. And I know I'm a language chameleon because I taught myself Croatian, and then I moved to Dalmatia, and pretty quickly I talk like the people around me. So I do hope once I move to America, I won't lose my accent because I like it.
You will never lose your accent.
I hope so.
I do like this scene here where she uses a paint pellet and hits clearly
The president.
an actor that's supposed to be Bill Clinton.
And everybody
obvious.
freaks out.
Gonna go jogging, and he's got a little pudge. It's like clearly a joke about Bill Clinton. He did love his McDonald's, man.
No women, no kids. That's one of the rules.
That's the romantic notion of hitmen. And within a year, he did Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise.
Yep. That was a good movie.
He's the villain. I love that.
Yeah.
So what he didn't teach her was not to squint when aiming.
Don't squint, don't blink.
She's closing
How-
one eye. Nah.
However, there's an error there. He says to her that fill their lungs and contain the breath.
Yeah,
before
that was
shooting.
wrong.
Yeah, you have to
Also, you don't-
exhale.
You don't say pull the trigger, you squeeze the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In fact, I was just watching a specialist video, guy's military law enforcement, and he's an expert, and he was criticizing good and bad weapons handling in films, and he really made fun of Mel Gibson's Lethal Weapon. He's like fucking wagging that fucking pistol when he's shooting at the target. He's just working that fucking finger. Like, yeah, he doesn't know how to fire a weapon. And the greatest person, this number 2 in the video was Tom Cruise with his Hitman movie. I forgot the name of it.
Oh,
And
Collateral.
And then number 1 was Keanu Reeves. And a lot of people don't know that Keanu Reeves actually created a move.
Yep.
Oh,
It
the
didn't exist
John Wick,
before.
yeah.
the magazine flip.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He'd flip it out
2
or he'd flip it
fingers.
in. Whatever direction he needed to go, he could flip it in like this way, or he could flip it outward, and it would just
Yeah.
go flying. And now you'll find videos all over the place of people doing this fucking move. I think it's funny. He created that.
The place where they taught him to do the tactical work,
Mhm.
when he did that, they were like shocked to say, how do you do that? It's like, I thought that was like the best way to do it. Since then, they're teaching everybody else to do that.
Oh my God, Keanu is Assassin Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
Assassin Muad'Dib. Okay.
That's actually true. He definitely, when it comes to that, he might be the one. So
I will say that I didn't think I could ever see someone do a bad John Wayne impression until I saw this movie.
She's so kind about it, though.
No, I'm talking about him right here.
Yeah.
Even the walk is terrible.
But you know what? This is one of those things where it's a great setup and payoff that has nothing to do with the story, but only shows like it only deals with like his humane side. Well, why does he actually do the John Wayne stuff because it was set up when he was sitting there in the theater
He likes his
watching these
movies.
old, specifically old movies, and he's enthralled with them. And to be fair, and this is like something I thought about a long time ago, is the fact that Leon is partially Luc Besson in a way, where he's a little bit OCD, a little bit autistic, creative, but not enough creative. That's what he thinks about himself.
Yeah. Now here's a great fucking American actor right here.
Danny Aiello.
Good Danny Aiello. We just lost him a few years ago too.
Yeah.
What a great actor.
You
First
know what?
movie I remember seeing him in was Fort Apache, the Bronx with Paul
Yeah.
Newman. He was one of the cops that killed a guy, threw him off a roof.
Yep.
First time I saw him was Harlem Nights.
Really?
Yeah. That I can
What year was
remember.
that?
89.
Man,
I mean,
I don't
people
remember.
don't like Harlem Nights, and I know why, but I it's one of those movies, man.
I love
I-
Harlem Nights. That's a
Yeah,
fun
me too.
movie. I mean, it's Red Fox, it's Richard
Yeah.
Pryor, it's
Della Reese.
Della Reese. I mean, come on.
Yeah. The problem with Harlem Nights is everybody remembers how Richard Pryor was so like emaciated and sort of not Pryor. But Eddie Murphy said like years later that he really didn't know he was sick at that point, like really, really sick at that point.
Mhm.
He just wanted to make a movie with all of his heroes.
His
So
icons, yeah.
He just wrote, directed, did everything that he could do until the point where it kind of messed him up. But yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, when Eddie asked to be in a Star Trek movie, and he was originally written into Star Trek The Voyage Home, but ended up it didn't work out because he didn't like the way they wrote the character that they had for him. And so they
It
turned
was
that
also,
character-
it was
they turned
also
that character-
supposed to be a Ghostbuster as well.
Yes. So
What did
he
they do to the character in Star Trek?
turned it into Jillian
Ah.
with the whales. That's who his character originally was developed to be.
Oh, that'd have been a weird love story with him and Kirk.
Well, it wasn't a love story initially. They needed somebody on the inside to help them with the whales and everything. And yeah, it was just this is right after Beverly Hills Cop. He wanted to be in a Star Trek movie, and they tried to make it happen. So
His
He should have
ego
got-
got in the way.
He should have gone through the Christian Slater route where his mother got him the job.
that's true. That
He's
is true.
silhouetted. He's silhouetted in the door frame.
He's
you
not
can't even
silhouetted. You
his
can see
face.
his face. You can
Yeah,
see his
barely.
face. You can. It's like,
The only way I knew it was him was the fucking voice, because he sounds like a young Nicholson.
when I did the research, when we did the movie, when we covered the movie, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. His mom got him his job, and when he was done, he took the fucking jacket that he was wearing home.
Hey, he's a Star Trek fan. I mean, look, I would have done the same thing. If I
Goddamn
managed
right.
to, if I was going to take anything home, yeah, I'm taking the jacket. Heck, I'll try to take the whole uniform home.
Oh, worse than that. I would have run by Leonard Nimoy and ripped those fucking ears off and run.
I can't say anything. I probably would have considered doing that myself. But
It's like, you don't know who the fuck I am. I'm out of here.
I'm running because I actually did steal something. Oh, wow.
I do like that, because one of the characters in his story is the city itself. And I really do enjoy how they did that in the movie. making the city a character. What's this? What? Captain, I'm reading a huge concentration of cocaine emanating from a single person. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of young girls that age wearing chokers. It's weird.
It is weird.
And it was completely opposite from what would she choose to wear. She had a very childish, girly style.
Yeah, she had a
back then.
very girly way of wanting to dress.
And Luc
Which is
Besson
what
had
they
no
should
idea
have
where
done.
they were going with her costume. The costume maker, she's French. She just dressed her up and sent her into the room. And all she did was watch his face, how he would react. That way she knew she nailed it with that look. I mean, she grows up in a family of hookers. The females are all hookers around her. So why wouldn't she dress like that?
And because she dislikes them, psychologically, she would dress the opposite of them. But for Luc Besson to think that way, he has to actually consider things. And I don't think he did.
Maybe that's the clothes that she was given by the females in her family, because they know that this is probably the only thing that she's ever going to be able to do. I mean, she is in a school, but they know she's not going. They don't care.
You know,
she's home watching cartoons, and her mom is just like, yeah, must be Saturday because you're not at school. She doesn't even bother to check. And when the school calls, Matilda answers the call and fakes to be her mom and tells them that she's dead. Pretty messed up.
War Monkey, if I had the money, I would too. Absolutely.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize in the movie that Gary Oldman's team are actually not cops, they're DEA. That's a federal building.
Oh, by the way, Gary, because we were wondering when in one of the making of videos that we watched, when they show the last scene that she was shooting, Natalie Portman, and then they shower her with stuff. I'm pretty sure it's cornflakes, because in every scene where she's
it looked like cereal.
Cornflakes next to her. Must be.
It's just a pile. Colorful. It's a funny video, guys. If you ever get to watch that, it's one of the making of videos. I think it's done in 3 parts.
Yep.
And she gets showered at the end of the scene because it's the final scene. And they just showered her with like what looked like cornflakes, and that's what it was.
Yeah,
she's
sitting
like
there
buried partially into this pile.
She's sitting at the table in the kitchen, tapping the table, waiting for instructions, I guess. And then all of a sudden, a hole opens in the ceiling, and all the cereal comes down on her. They had fun on set. And you can even see the camera go over to where they're all standing in the door frame, grinning because he knew what was about to happen. So funny.
So she initially wants to pay him to kill these people, and he refuses. He says they're government, they're cops, and that's out of bounds. We're not allowed to do that. Yeah, she was 15 when they met. And she's one of them who rationalizes her character in this film. She's one of the French people that rationalized her character.
Well,
and I'm telling you, that's a problem with the French.
She's pretending that Matilda is her, and she's just not. Because there's a huge difference between a 12-year-old girl and a 15-year-old. I wanted to skip these parts.
I love Otoy has been doing those bridges, man. They're incredible. And it's not just the bridges, you also have other sections of the ship available in virtual.
That sounds cool.
Well,
I always fantasized about turning my house into like a Star Trek bridge, and kitchen, just do everything, the room looking like what it would look like in Star Trek.
Yeah.
It'll get old real fast.
Yeah, I guess that's why I never did it or never moved towards doing it, because I thought I would get tired of it eventually and then want to do it as something else.
I'd always thought, having a place that kind of looked like Connor McLeod's apartment in Highlander.
Oh yeah, with the sunken living
Yeah.
room.
Oh gosh,
Stupid story, I know, but we actually wanted to buy a house and did not buy it because it had a sunken living room, because my wife said she would trip during the night. And I was like, why would you go to the living room during the night? And she said, did I say night? I mean all the time. Okay. Fine. She's like, can we pour concrete in there once we buy the house? And I said, no, there's a slide door to the outside, to the garden. You can't pour concrete here. Never mind. It wasn't meant to be, but it was funny.
We had a raised area in the living room for where the TV went, in one of the houses we had, and I remember watching my brothers trip on it whenever they would go to the TV. They'd stumble over it every single time.
Yeah, she said she would fall off, but I think she meant everybody would fall off. It's
fall into the living room. You don't go into the living room, you fall in.
It wasn't a step, it was actually 2 steps. So it just like Connor McLeod's kind of apartment.
Yeah,
so
that sounds like sprained ankles.
Exactly.
So I want to comment on this scene in particular because I fucking love this. He's training
my favorite part of the movie.
how to get into the apartment. This is one of the best parts of the international cut, because this scene wasn't in the theatrical cut.
It wasn't, and to me it was a surprise.
And I love the fact that he's like trying to figure out what's going on here, and she shoots him with a paint gun. 2 shots. He's like, technically it's what is it? 2 in the body, 1 to the head is the way you're supposed to do it. But anyway, he's telling her how to do this. She shoots with the paint gun. He goes, "What the hell is going on?" And they all start to leave. He and Leon start to leave, and then Leon turns and he's like, "What is? So I'm okay?" And then he turns around and he fucking shoots him in the head.
Yeah. Then I've definitely only seen the international cut.
That is so fucking funny. I laughed so hard when I saw that the first time. What a great moment in the film.
That is nice.
To get the furniture to make the bridge of the Enterprise. There you go. That's a good nerd right there. Has the gun. It's like telling him, "Put your lip on it, lock your lips," and he just follows the barrel around the room.
That was funny too.
Yeah, he's just so confused right now. What's going on? Tells him a little to the left, and then she shoots him with paint pellets.
Yeah.
And he's so confused with what's going on here right now.
Well, it's not every day that a killer comes in and has a child with him that he's teaching that shoots you with paint.
Yeah, to shoot people. Oh, this is fucking great.
Mean, he lectures her right in front of him. Yeah, no, the second one was not high up enough. You need to go for the chest. And she's like, okay. And the dude is just like, what the fuck is going on?
So, you're not going to kill me? Then he shoots him in the fucking head. I love that.
That was amazing.
Oh, and she says, this kills children. Remember, no women, no children. So he nods and he burns up the drug. She burns up the drugs.
Yeah, it's not enough
of course,
for her to get rid of
in an enclosed room that they're in.
Yeah, well. It shows that in that scene, she's the responsible one for burning the drugs. He would have just left him there. Hi, Cal. Always good to see you.
Cal.
God damn it. How did Gorlock the Destroyer go back on my timeline in Twitter? What the hell is going on?
What are you talking about?
Nothing.
This is
I was
the scene where she
scrolling
crawls
through
to the
messages,
table
sorry.
to kiss him. I'm
Oh, when
going to
she's
kiss you.
drinking?
Yeah, just this is such a terrible scene. I
That
didn't like
is a thing the French do, though. It's pretty common for kids to have a small glass of wine.
I'm not talking about the
being drunk.
champagne or wine. I'm talking this is where she climbs on the table
Yeah,
to
that's a
kiss
creepy
him.
scene.
Wait a
That was
minute.
not
It-
She doesn't climb on
It-
the table, but she
She does.
she no.
She tries to go over the table.
Yes, tries to go over, but she doesn't.
Isn't this the same restaurant that they used for La Femme Nikita?
Yes.
Probably.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I should have said that as probably.
No, that would be me.
I have intentionally
Yeah.
mispronounced that word for like 3 decades just for fun.
Just to fuck with people. That's what you do.
Probably.
Ouch.
Yeah, this is the scene where he has to pull her from in front of the door, right? Because he hears
Yeah.
them jack around in the weapon, or is that
They have
another
a
scene?
perfect routine, but this is where things go wrong.
It
because
is
they
this one,
know-
right?
Yeah, I think that's when
Because
they
he grabs her.
Yeah, because inside the apartment, they know that they are being fooled. Everybody else falls for her. I'm out here alone. It's dark. I'm scared because that's why they put the chewing gum on the peeping hole in the door, so that she can pretend she's out there in the dark
There,
and the lights don't
you
work.
can see the bullet holes.
Yep,
That's when they.
that's
fire.
actually supposed to be shotgun. I wish we had more Jean Reno films.
He's so
Yeah.
good.
There's what do you mean? There's so many.
In America.
You will
Oh.
always have Godzilla.
Yeah, see, Godzilla was what I think damaged him here.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Well, because Mission Impossible helped, and and Ronan. I keep forgetting about Ronan. Thank you, Cal.
And Da Vinci Code?
That was a good one too.
His parts got smaller and smaller. Pink Panther. This is a leading man here. And he just started getting relegated to smaller roles. And I
Why
don't know,
though?
bothered me.
Why did that happen?
You had to go to foreign films to really get to see him in anything good, like 22 Bullets. I love that movie. Wasabi.
Why? Because Americans want Americans, or American producers want American actors, or British or Australian, just not with
Yeah,
German
they'll hire
or French.
Brits and Aussies
or-
to play Americans. but they don't
It's
wanna
a
hire
shocker. It's a shocker that Antonio Banderas has a massive career in Hollywood.
He
be
has
fair.
a certain look though that works with Hollywood, and I think Jean Reno doesn't. And they care more about looks than talent nowadays. So
Maybe. I mean, Jean Reno always looked way older than he was. Now he's sort of gotten to their age where he kind of looks like the same. Yeah, he's what, 32, maybe? He looks 50.
He was so good as Enzo in The Big Blue. That's where I became a fan back in '88.
That's the first movie I've seen him in. That is the first movie
Same
I've
here.
seen him in.
Same here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is this guy? God, he was so good in that fucking movie.
He's supposed to be like the villain.
And he is sort of through most of the film until it's clear there's a friendship between the two of them.
Yeah, it's a sort of it's a frenemy kind of a thing.
Yeah, frenemy.
Because they were both in that movie. They were both pushing each other to the absolute limit of what you can do with like deep diving with no gear. Yeah. I saw that movie way before I was supposed to.
Yeah, and I got to tell you guys, if you have not seen 22 Bullets yet, watch that fucking movie.
Okay.
Jean Reno. He plays an aging gangster. And it's really, they're going to bring it to the U.S. and have Liam Neeson. He was cast to play him in the American version. It's like you can't have a Frenchman, but you can have a Scotsman or an Irishman, right? play an American. And Liam's fucking American accent is terrible. Let's see, what was another good one? Oh, we're going to be doing this one too. We're going to be doing Crimson Rivers, which is a great French thriller with Jean Reno and Vincent Cassel, who Martin was shocked to hear is a distant relative of mine.
It's not that a common name, so I'm not surprised.
He stole his glasses, little bitch.
Yeah, she looks cool though.
Does she? Does she?
I think she does.
She looks like a 12-year-old trying to look like a
you're
grown-up.
too biased. You know, they sold this movie over here on the fact that she's from Israel, even though she was like born here, but her parents took her away at a very early age. But I've actually met her. She was here doing, I don't remember if it was just visiting or wrapping up some movie that she did with like a collab over here. And she is a tiny, tiny little woman. But she is very nice. As in, you know, when like rich people or actors or that sort of thing, you know, you can tell if they have an attitude or they don't have an attitude in the way they talk to, we'll call it the help or the sort of like waitresses, or, you know, I was a security guard, but the way she talks to the help, she was extremely nice. Extremely nice. I was actually surprised. I was actually really surprised.
I just Googled how short she is, and I'm shorter than her. She's like an inch taller than me.
Wow. I stood next to her. I talked to her. I stood next to her. She is a tiny, tiny little woman.
So, Animal, you could pull a priest if we put you in with certain dolls.
What?
Blade Runner, priest, making herself pass as a doll.
And I'm not like super tall. I'm like,
we're all laughing on the inside.
5'11". So.
Yeah, I'm between 5'1" and 5'2".
I don't know if Martin heard what I said.
Yes, I
did. After he made his joke, I said, we're all laughing on the inside, Martin.
Jeez.
She's 5'3", yeah.
I think she's shorter than that. I think they added in, Wikipedia added in an extra 2 inches. She is really, really small. But yeah.
No, that's about right for Hollywood.
Yeah. Go back to sleep, gremlin.
I love the fact that she's sort of develops this false confidence, and she tries to to go and do the murder she hired him to do, or wanted to hire him to do. And she completely misses out on the fact that she is 12 or 13.
Not only that, she's fixated on killing Gary Oldman's character when the guy that she really has to kill is this one, the guy with the
Yeah.
rastas. That's the one that kills her little brother.
Yeah, but I don't think she knew that.
No,
The audience knows.
it's irony. It's just irony.
Look,
Yeah.
the only person that matters is the writer, and the writer knew.
Yeah.
You're right, Gary.
Forget it, Keith. Forget it. Live with it.
I'm sorry, Gary. I apologize.
By the way, the film that you brought up in the chat, this is the one where Liam Neeson has a West Virginia accent in Next of Kin. It's just awful.
I've
awful.
never seen this movie.
It's not good. Look, Patrick did it because it's an action film and he got to do some of his stuff that he likes to do, fight scenes.
Yeah.
And they had Liam Neeson in it. And I think Bill Paxton was in that too, wasn't he?
Yep.
I
My
don't.
God, Reed.
Wow.
Just do it just stop.
See, I'm telling you. To me, I didn't expect her to be like 7 feet tall, but it was a bit of a shock because I don't know. She was accompanied by some dude, not her husband. I would say a gay friend. And he wasn't much taller than her, but she's very, very, very tiny. And
I'll tell you one that's shocking.
She's like a really thin person as well. So she even looks.
Let me tell you one
smaller.
note that'll shock you. My daughter and I were down in Texas at Comic Palooza, and we're going to go get something to eat. And we're walking through the guest actor area where they have their little U-shaped area where all the actors are. And as we're walking through there, she sees this little tiny, she thinks is a kid, and she goes, I wonder what his costume is. And the person turned it, and it was the fucking actor that played Machete.
Danny Trejo?
Danny Trejo?
Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
She thought he was a kid. She thought he was a kid from behind.
He's that tiny? I didn't know he was so short.
He's so fucking short. She was almost the same height as him. So
no.
Oh.
he was just a
Really?
little taller than her down in Texas. That was so funny.
Man, Danny Trejo did the show with that survival show with the British guy who fakes the funk, Bear Grylls. And he nearly killed himself doing a fucking zip line.
Well, dude, Trejo is 70 what? It's 78?
Yeah, I know. I know.
He should take it easier.
And I hate that show. Ever since I discovered he's really faking the funk. That Bear Grylls show is so made up.
That's sad. Empathetic.
Yeah.
He's like sleeping at a fancy hotel, and the crew does not. They sleep outdoors, and he like gets flown off with a helicopter to like a spa or whatever. What? Yeah, that show is so fucking stupid.
That's just so wrong.
Yeah, that show is whatever you see, that's when he's in the thing. And when you see him eat like disgusting stuff, it's fake. It's all fake.
Well, it's almost time for me to unveil my shocked face then.
Uh-oh.
Almost.
I was almost shocked. Remember that time you almost surprised me? Look, here is against somebody who's almost my height. This is Danny Trejo right here. And he's shorter than my shortest son. My son, Benjamin, is 5'8". And so he stands 2 inches taller than Danny Trejo.
Your son is
And the
Trey
guy on the
Parker?
left there is not as tall as Keith and I. Yeah, Trey Parker. Yeah.
It looks like Trey Parker.
The more I
No,
learn,
that's not my
the more
son.
the more I meet a lot of actors and stuff, the more I am just
Oh, you broke Mephisto.
wow. I mean, I must be a giant compared to a lot of those guys in Hollywood now. So
No, you are slightly taller than me, which is interesting because I'm used to being the tallest person in the room.
You know what was interesting, Gary? Taking that photo with you, Keith, and Scott. I felt like a child.
I know. You look like a small first grader.
I
in
look
that
like
photo
a
with
kid
us.
in that shot. They're all so tall.
I know that people were shocked when Stallone came in because he was shooting Rambo 3 over here in the desert, and people were shocked because I knew he was like a short little guy, but people were shocked that he was that short. They took him around to downtown Tel Aviv to show him around, and you could tell his like 2 bodyguards are way taller than him. They kind of cleared spaces. I remember that so vividly from back in the day. They wanted to have him on for like this Friday night weekend show, a talk show, and he wouldn't do it. So they just had these newsreels instead. It's fucking funny.
Oh. I know there's quite a few actors that are actually as tall, if not taller than me, but not many,
I think Dolph Lundgren is as tall as he is depicted.
Yes.
Oh, he's taller than me. And let me tell you something. I had dinner with him, and he is a giant. And okay, I don't know if I've ever told him that story. I don't know if you know what happened. He was dating my best friend Jim Woodward's sister Annie, and she was like an international model.
Who was dating my best friend John Woodward.
Jim Woodward's sister, little sister. Yeah, and I threw that in there. And so I got invited to dinner that night. And he was going to be there. And I was like really stoked. And so right when I get there, I'm told as I'm coming through the door, you can't ask him any questions about Masters of the Universe.
Why not what?
And I'm
I would
but
think
that's all I want to ask.
Don't ask him questions about Rocky 4. He probably is sick of like, I will break.
At that point, I didn't even think about it. All I wanted to ask him about was playing He-Man. Yeah. And then finally
hated that movie so much. I hated that movie.
He took acting lessons under one of the great teachers. And I don't know if it was the one in LA or the one in New York. I can't remember. But he says something about it, and learning the method. And I said, "Did you use the method with Masters of the Universe?"
Oh, jeez.
Jim Woodward kicked me under the table really hard. Like really nailed me in the shin.
I think my favorite Dolph Lundgren movie was the one where with Brandon Lee, Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Oh, Showdown in Little Tokyo, where he says, "You have the biggest dick on a man I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And also, the little Chinese actress, she says, "That time I could hear you come."
Wow.
2 great lines from that movie. So here, this is my son Benjamin, by the way. That's Ben.
That's a nice collection, man.
Yeah, his He-Man collection is ridiculous. It's like a museum to He-Man. So this is the final showdown. Led to one of my favorite moments in film where you see the camera tracks the fucking rocket. that was on a wire, and it's just beautifully shot. And he's got to protect that plant, so he's going to put her in the plant down the chute.
Dumb waiter.
Well, it was behind the stove. It's not even that. She's got to climb down, and he just
it's
where the vent was,
the
ventilation
wall.
shaft. It's the ventilation shaft for the fan, and he's like, "Go down," and she won't go, and then he lies to her and says, "I believe that you and I are going to be together forever," and blah blah blah, telling her everything she needs to know just to get her the fuck out of there.
Yeah, because he realizes they were living sort of on a borrowed time in this fantasy world where she can actually be his like apprentice in something, and that would grow into some sort of a partnership. And when she decided to go with the fantasy and deal with the cops, that stirred up everything. And when he snapped out of it is the fact that he lied to her, and he realizes, yeah, this is like we're either she's not coming out of this alive, both are, or whatever, because I'm not going to be alive at the end of this.
Yeah, he says to himself, one of us is going to die here, and it's not going to be her. Yeah. And he does everything to get her out of there, lie to her, whatever he has to do. And he was shocked that he made it as far as he did, but he always had a plan. And that plan is that last moment of his right before he dies.
The ring trick.
And he goes, Stansfield, and he goes, the one and only, or at your
service.
At your service.
At your service. And he says, this is from Matilda. And he hands something to him, then he opens it up. He sees it's a grenade pin, and then opens it up, and he goes, shit. You know, of course, in real life, the grenade would have already gone off at that point. But it's a movie.
Not to mention that with that revolver, he should have his head separated from his body.
Also, the explosion is ridiculous. When you see the explosion from outside the house.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful explosion.
Every grenade explosion in a movie is way over exaggerated to what the actual thing is.
It's not just overly exaggerated, it's done unrealistically in that they always show flame, and there's no flame with grenades.
No,
you're lucky if you get to see the internal blast, because it's so fast that it's kicking up the dust around it that you don't usually see the blast inside the grenade.
I'm trying to remember where we saw that, because there was this one scene where one of the soldiers throws himself on a grenade and has it explode under him to save all his friends, and it just lifts him and he flops back on the ground and is dying.
That was Full Metal Jacket, wasn't it?
Was it that?
No.
It was one of the things we did for military.
It's a Vietnam War film.
It's not Full Metal Jacket. I don't think there's
that was so
guy lying
heartbreaking.
in a
That was pretty realistic. Because I asked Gary, would that really look like that? And he said, yeah, it would. It wouldn't tear him into pieces.
Is it Platoon, maybe?
I'm looking it up right now.
It's probably, yeah.
No, I think it was Casualties of War. Casualties of War, when they tried to frag the Michael J.
It
Fox.
is. I just looked it up. Brian De Palma. What a piece of shit movie. Yeah, fuck that guy. Oh, he's a commie. I can't stand Brian De Palma.
Separate the art from the artist, man.
Yeah,
I try to. I mean, I fucking love his other movies, but his Vietnam War film, he always wants to make soldiers look bad.
I mean, Oliver Stone is a big lefty, but he, like...
Well, if you listen to, what's his name, Baldwin, that was in Full Metal Jacket, not related to the other Baldwins. As he said on Twitter one day, he says, by the way, fact, I'm the oldie Baldwin that's never shot anybody.
Oh!
Wow.
Ouch.
Anyway, Adam Baldwin is his name, and he was talking about it one day, and he said that Oliver Stone made an anti-soldier film, whereas Full Metal Jacket is an anti-war film that's pro-soldier. And that's
Yeah.
the difference.
Yep.
And
This is a great
movie.
scene because he sees Jean Reno's character and he goes and hides and waits for him because he knows there's only one place he can get out at. And he outwits him. Jean Reno says that line, can man keep the mask on? It helps me breathe. I'm like, said nobody ever. You ever worn one of those masks?
And nobody noticed that in the visor screen of the mask there is a big hole and
A bullet hole.
and it's all covered in blood from the inside.
I am so glad we decided to not cover this movie.
What?
What? Thin Red Line?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible movie.
We watched it, but then we decided, no, we're not wasting a show on
Because I
it.
had to fast forward through most of it because it's so bad. That
Yeah.
right there, I'm so glad you captured this. Right here, you notice there's a slight haze to it.
The
brightness
flash.
to it. That is the moment he gets shot.
Yeah.
And you see the light fade in brighter. And then he slowly loses gravity or fails to gravity right there, falling down. And he rolls him over.
That's a great way of
I
doing
love the way he says
that.
it. Stansfield.
That and when the
"At your
kid got
service."
shot, you just see the kid bolt out from under the bed when the knife comes down, and you see him run through the hallway, and you hear the shots, and you know that kid is not making it. You don't see it. You just see his silhouette on the floor in another scene.
The way I see it, Alpha, is if you want to make a really good anti-war film, just make a realistic war film. That's it. Don't try to put anti into it. It just is because it's horrifying.
Mhm.
And Paths of Glory is a really good film, but I don't think it's as good a film as Full Metal Jacket. Same director. I just think Full Metal Jacket's the better film. That reminds me, anyone ever see Dolph Lundgren in the movie Minute War? Yes, it wasn't great, but I used to like it a lot. It's one of those straight to video movies. It was fun. And here it almost looks like he has a unibrow. Leon.
Yep.
And that, of course, is not what a grenade looks like when it explodes with no flames.
This is
It's
the
just
Michael Bay version of a grenade explosion.
Grenade on speed.
Michael
Oh,
Bay
jeez.
with Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, of course, it comes all the way back around where Danny Aiello kind of says, well, I'll take you on. I'll pay for you. Sort of like
'cause
the same way. Because they do tell that story. We didn't say it, but they do kind of tell that story where Leon comes to him and Danny Aiello's character is like, yeah, I've treated you right. I've brought you into this business when you were young, and I've always took care of you. And he kind of does the same to Matilda, where it kind of leaves off at that point, and we don't really see the continuation of this. And
he snaps at her though, dude. I love it. Get it through your head. You know, you're not going to be a killer. You know, just go be a kid and come back here every few weeks, and I'll give you some more money, a couple $100 to get you through. And so, all she's left with, the only option left, is go back to school. And I love when the teacher says, I'm done with your lying. Tell me the truth or get out of here. And then she just tells her the truth, which sounds even more insane than what she would say.
Yeah.
You know, my family was killed, murdered by a corrupt cop, and I was taken in by a hitman. You know, it's like, oh my God.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Wait.
out of here. Yeah. Get that
Wrong
smack
answer.
sound. Yeah, wrong answer.
About the big final shootout scene, in one of the behind the scenes videos, we came across one of the guys involved saying that there was a real shooting. I think that week or the previous week, and then they did their shooting scene for the movie, and they kept comparing and saying, "Yeah, ours was way better than theirs." A little
Ours was
fucked
better than
up,
theirs.
but I mean that was New York. I mean,
So we've got this scene now where she's walking the streets and you don't know where she's going. And then finally you realize she's been making her way back to that school that she had left.
she has nowhere else to go.
She has that scene, you know, this is the, what's it called? The sky crane. Keith, what is it called? I forget what it's called. The lift that goes across the river.
Oh, geez.
A ferry?
The first time I found out about this was in the movie Nighthawks.
Yeah.
With Rutger Hauer and Stallone. I'm like, they have something like that there? Oh my God. So she goes there, she's at this school, and she's taking the plant with her, and she goes through this scene, and you think, like, when she tells what really happened to her, I'm like, that's it, she's out. And no, she's there. They believed her. So she goes back there and she goes in the backyard and finally does what she said Leon needed to do, was plant the plant in the ground so it can grow.
Not knowing that
But
it's not going to survive winter.
But she also says the name of the plant is Leon.
Leon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she says to the plant, "I think we'll like it here," but that is an indoor plant. That's not supposed to be out there in winter.
That's not an outdoor plant. Not, at least not in the United States. Maybe in the Southwest it might survive. But anyway, it ends with a great song by Sting and what is his name? I forget the guitarist's name.
I think I know why they believe her at that school, because her whole family was murdered. That had to be in the newspapers. So it's probably just out of pity that they take her back, because she has nowhere else to go. People must know about that family slaughter.
Okay, the song is Shape of My Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Miller, who also worked on the soundtrack of Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
So Eric Clapton and Dominic Miller, man, and Sting did one song. It's Probably Me. Great fucking song. He also ripped off 10,000 a head, even if he pays for a couple hundred.
5,000 a head.
Keeping.
But yes, well, he was ripping Leon too. So
yeah, he was ripping everybody off.
He rips everybody off. That's why he doesn't want to give him the money. He just wants to dole it out because he uses it for himself. So the guy's a criminal, for God's sake. He's a gangster.
Yeah, he's a gangster.
He's ripping him up. You know, but I like this film. I prefer the original theatrical version, but I do like some of the extended scenes in the international cut. I just don't like the push towards a relationship between her and him. And it's like, I was so glad that the actor, Jean Reno, was against it. And,
it wasn't even going anywhere.
There was no, but either way it goes, it just really annoys me. By the way, the film that you were talking about is this film, Men of War. I watched every Dolph Lundgren film from the 80s all the way up into the 2000s. I didn't miss a single one.
Even Red Scorpion?
Red Scorpion, I love that fucking movie. I got such a kick out of that film.
You know,
it's got Tiny Liston is in it. Fucking Tiny. Tom Lister. He had the nickname Tiny. This guy. That's Tiny Lister. He has he played Debo.
Debo, yeah.
And Chris Tucker goes, "You got knocked the fuck out."
Yeah. Thomas Gibson was in that?
Yeah. This, if you've never seen this, Keith, you need to go watch this fucking movie. Don Harvey was young in it. He was in there. See who else popped in here? Kevin Tye is in it. Thomas Gibson. God, look at all the people that were in this fucking movie.
Perry Lang. Jeez.
Charlotte Lewis. A lot of people don't know who she is. We do, because we're movie nerds. And that's what I remember her most for, right there. Little film called The Golden Child. which we are
Well,
eventually going to fucking do on this show. 'cause
Well,
I love
that
movie.
leads me to the story I was talking about with Star Trek 4. When he left Star Trek, that's the movie he ended up making, was Golden Child. So he goes straight
and I
from
like that
Star
movie.
Trek to Golden Child.
Hey, welcome, Hollowfield.
Hollofield was just on with us on Thursday. Yesterday. It was last night. God, it
Yeah.
seems like days ago, but it was actually just last night. Anna would like ask me, like, what did you guys say on the show? I went, I don't know. I don't remember.
It's funny that you mentioned Golden Child. December 12th, 1986 is the release date, which was basically for you guys yesterday,
Mhm.
but 38 years ago. Yeah, almost to the date.
Yeah.
And by the way, that movie got a bad rap when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater because I was a kid, but I saw it on like a VHS, and it was right after I watched Beverly Hills Cop, the first one. And I was like, oh, cool, another Eddie Murphy movie. By the way, right after this, I saw Raw when I was way too young to see Raw.
Yeah.
Like Raw came out, what, 88?
Yeah.
87, 88. So I probably saw Beverly Hills Cop 2 and then Raw. Man, I loved Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy with the good laugh. The fucking, he intentionally does not do the laugh.
I love when he did the first album. And
But Delirious?
He did that honeymooners joke, and I fucking lost my shit. Norton, I'm gonna bend over.
I want you.
What do you get?
to
What are you
fuck
getting
me
at,
up
Ruffy
the
boy?
ass.
He said, "What you fuck me up the ass? What are you getting at, Ruffy boy? When I bend over, I'd fucking."
You know,
Murphy, man.
I like the Golden Child because Charles Dance is in it, and
As Noopsy.
well, Charles Dance is,
Noopsy.
he is a very good actor who is great at playing villains. For me, I just think that while for a lot of people who caught up to Charles Dance when he was part of Game of Thrones, my thought at that time was like, about time you guys caught up to Charles Dance. He's just one of those actors that whenever you see him, he's going to do something evil, and he's just really good at it. God, that dude is just oh.
Also led to one of the best Father's Day memes in the history of ever. Because when it shows what's his name, Peter Dinklage's character, shooting him with the crossbow in the toilet, and on the meme it says "Happy Father's Day."
Wow,
He's shooting his own dad.
Wow.
Oh, he was great in that movie. That movie is so much better. Tom and I have talked about this. I've talked about it with Nick.
Oh,
that
heck
movie
yes.
is so much better than people realize. It
Yes.
came out 10 years too early is what happened to that movie.
Mhm.
His best moment in that movie is when he's talking to Anthony Quinn and said, "That's a 360, you moron." No, that's a 180, you moron. A 360. Oh, fuck it. Boom, boom, boom.
Wait, I lost you there for a second. What movie?
Last Action Hero.
Oh,
Charles Dance. He is
That-
the bad guy in that movie.
yeah.
Super villain.
It's I was working on an essay piece comparing Last Action Hero to Barbie. It's essentially kind of the same movie. One is for boys, one is for girls. Because what happened is both main characters, which is Arnold and Margot's character, are living in a fantasy world where they cannot do any wrong. And always works for their benefit. But then something happens and they step out of that world, and the realization of the fact that there's a reality and it's smacking them in the face. They cannot do the stuff they were doing in the fantasy world, which kind of forces them to go back after an ordeal that they're going through in the reality world. Kind of forces them to go back and do the fantasy, because they are not built for the real world. They're built for a fantasy. They realizing that they are a fantasy.
Yep.
It's just
I agree with you. I didn't see Last Action Hero until you. Oh yeah. So I guess
I don't remember
go
if
ahead,
it's
Rep.
bombed or it had a weak release.
Oh, it bombed.
it bombed.
It bombed.
Yeah, it bombed
It
hard.
absolutely bombed, and I blame the studio for it. It's almost always the studio. They do piss poor marketing. They marketed the wrong movie. They tried to sell it as a different film than what it was.
Yeah, I
And
think
so-
they tried to sell it as a legit action movie, and it was actually a sort of a
parody.
half a comedy parody.
It's a parody of
it is.
action films, and it's a fantasy film.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was the movie that taught me about really about collecting, merchandising, in so much as that when you have figures based on actors that are a really good likeness. And I found they had the Last Action Hero figures that they released for the movie, which was these kind of doll sizes, these big size doll, looked exactly like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They used cloth and I think a kind of semi faux leather for the leather jacket. It was really well done. Had it for an extremely cheap price. I didn't buy it. Found out later because the movie bombed so hard that they ended up taking all of that stuff off of the shelves. Without anyone that actually bought one of those, that thing's worth a lot of money now. And because it looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's not just a like, it looks a lot like it. I mean, it's one of the first ones that I saw where they actually got it right. It's worth a lot of money. And that's what taught me about collecting toys and stuff based off of films that have not done so well. So,
By the way, before we
between
go, I wanted to show that photo. It's a really cool behind the scenes photo from the movie. I just liked it. I just really liked it.
You know what she's thinking there? She's
I
thinking,
could shoot
"Fucking
Luc
John
Besson and he'll never get transporter.
She's saying,
That's usually where the director is sitting, over to the right.
Yep. Back
So
and to the right.
back into the right, back into the right. Another JFK joke like that one. I want to thank
We wouldn't have
everybody for being
gotten
here.
Fifth Element either. So
Thank God. Oh, I hate that movie. Kenny was here. Read by Nature, Vinkman's Girl, War Monkey, Krampus Jeebus, Zax, 11 Alpha, Paul Smith, not to be mistaken with actor Paul Smith, Paul Beast Raban Smith. Let's see, Shinatsky, Kingsport Cow, the Comic Relief Crusader, also known as Mike, Scribe, at least to his mother, Scribe Light, Hallowfield, and of course, Dadman Walking popped in here last minute. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for being here. Mephisto, it's so nice to have you here for a whole show.
yeah, thank you.
Keith, it was awesome having
kudos
you here.
to you for being awake. Still.
I had a very nice Schlafstunde. Anyone knows what it is?
It's a penis.
What?
No?
No, I think he's trying to say nap in German, but it's not what we
Yes, that's what I thought it was.
It's an afternoon nap. It may be
Yes!
a Yiddish word rather than a German word.
Yeah, it is. Must
Yeah.
be Must be.
Because they kind of sound the same. Yeah, a good afternoon nap. Not a long one, but a good one where you know you've been sleeping well.
Yeah, in
Got a
German,
good.
we say Mittagsschlaf. That means
Yeah, okay,
sleeping in
yeah,
the
I
middle
get
of the day. Even if it's the afternoon, it's still Mittagsschlaf because you're supposed to do it after lunch. Like you eat and then you go for a nap.
If you're a good Jewish person, it's between 2 and 4. So between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. That's when the house needs to be quiet because grandma, grandpa are sleeping.
That won't work because typically lunch here is around 1 or 2 p.m. for working people.
Yeah.
I like being in Spain because they absolutely do a national siesta. TV goes off the air. It was awesome. Everything stops at noon. But hey, I want to thank you for being here today too, Keith. I like seeing you coming back doing the show with us on Fridays. Anima, as always, I love hanging out with you. And Martin, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm glad we got to do this movie. And sorry again, guys, for postponing it. But Martin and I were so sick last week. We needed a day off.
Yep.
I don't know what he had, but I still have it. It's RSV and it's...
Yeah, you guys have
It's
no
week
idea
2
what it's
and-
like to sit and listen to people hacking in your ears in full stereo. It's
I've just
awesome.
been through that with you for 4 weeks, so shut the fuck up.
And she's got one of those high-pitched coughs that really like could break glass.
No, I don't. That's just what it sounds like to you. I would slap the shit out of you if I was next to you right now. I hope you know that.
Yay.
Yeah, that's
So,
the
but
problem.
that's it,
Actually,
guys.
like it.
That was fun. It was fun hanging out, fun talking a little bit about the movie. Hope everybody had a good Friday. Don't forget, John's got a show later. We've got Doomcock coming on tonight with Friday Night Frolics. I'm sorry.
Frolics. Yeah.
Oh, man, acid. And Friday Night Frolics. Other people have shows in the afternoon. I don't really care.
Loki's usually doing a late show on Friday.
Yeah, Loki's doing a late
Loki
show.
does a late show. If I get rested, but I probably won't be, I get to do his show. But if I'm tired and don't get my nap in, my old man nap,
Because he's old.
I don't. I can't do shows at night. I can't do Nick's show and I can't do Loki's. So and it sucks. Time for what? Time for Tums. Yeah.
What's that?
Actually, I take that Pepsid AC, and that stuff really works for me. Take one a day. I'm good. So, also, fuck you, Mike. And D-Bud Martin. Where's Kyle? Is
Fuck
Kyle
you,
still
Mike,
here?
for
Fuck you,
streaming
Kyle.
at the same time and not joining us.
Yeah, fuck you, Kyle. Wherever you are, Kyle, fuck you. Anybody named Kyle, fuck you.
I haven't seen him talk since he came in.
Yeah, he said a couple of things, and that was it. So, we don't have the video set for outro. I guess I can do that now. Boom, there's set for video. There we go. Now we can end the show. So everybody say bye now. Bye. Everybody
Y'all
have a
come back
great
now.
fucking weekend. Y'all fuck off now. What?
Y'all come